Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul. My name is Melissa Wilson with Fox 26 News, also the medical reporter for Fox. And this is always an exciting time for us to be able to talk about a lot of the times huge advancements in medical care. And that is certainly the case with our guest today. I am going to bring in Jack Pennington right now. And I tell you what, you're going to be amazed at what this man has been able to endure. But really, most importantly, let's focus on how life is getting so much better for him. Welcome, Jack. Thank you for
Hi,
being
how are
here.
you? Good morning.
Well, doing well, and I'm so happy you're doing better now as well. So let's talk about the very beginning of this. You were unfortunately in an accident quite a while ago. What happened?
Yeah, I had a car accident. Someone hit me at broadside at about 60 miles an hour, and I had to have my knees replaced at a very young age. And I had my left knee replaced, and it ended up getting infected. And the doctors did not catch it until I pretty much lost all the tendons and everything in my left knee. And I finally fed a doctor who patched me back up. And of course, then they did my right knee, and it got infected. But they actually caught it in time, and they were able to give me a good right knee, and that was in 2008. And my life had been going great until May of 2019 when the infection came back. And it's just been a nightmare ever since. I've had over 15 surgeries since June of 2019.
And Jack, even as a medical reporter, I didn't realize that you could get over an infection inside of your knee. And what more than a decade later, there was just maybe a germ or two that had been dormant that comes back alive and hits you with a vengeance. And for anybody who has a weak stomach, you might want to look away. But I just want to give you an idea of what happened when Jack just woke up out of the blue one day. This is what your knee looked like.
And yep, I went to the gym that morning, and it was the end of May. I went to the gym. I did my normal workout. I come home. I had no pain. I felt nothing. I got up the next morning, and I stepped down off the bed, and I kind of fell against the wall. And I said, "What the heck?" And I looked down at my leg, and I just couldn't believe it.
I mean, that is just unreal that that can happen
Yeah.
overnight and out of the blue. So you hadn't injured it, it didn't have a cut, it
Nothing,
was
nothing. I
nothing.
didn't know anything. Our house got flooded during Harvey, and I did a lot of work. And I fell one time off a ladder, but they don't know for sure. But the one doctor said that, like you said, there could have been a very small piece somewhere in my body, and that jarred it loose, and eventually it worked its way up to your knee. The
Wow.
problem with the knee is that once it gets infected on a knee replacement, they have to remove it to get rid of the infection.
Mm.
So I've had several revisions, and then you have to go on antibiotics, intravenously heavy duty antibiotics for months and months and months. So it's just been a
And we're
night.
not talking one or two procedures, are we? How many did you have in all?
I've had a total of 15 since June of 2019. So
That
that's 4 years.
yeah, just in the past few years.
My,
Okay,
my, my leg was in a cast 4 months at a time for 6 times. So, 2 years in a cast, essentially.
and during that time, you had to learn how to get around in a wheelchair and then with a walker. What was that like?
Well, it really it hurts your independence. I mean, my wife had to drive me everywhere, and at the time she was still working, so she was, luckily her work. I got to give them a good ExxonMobil. They just treated my wife incredibly good. They let her take time off to be with me and help me. Because I mean, I couldn't drive. I was in a wheelchair. I
Hmm.
couldn't get around, and of course, I wasn't in the greatest of moods either. So she was a saint to put up with.
Uh-huh. Well, I was blessed to get to meet her. Here she is, and just what a sweetheart. So shout out to Leslie for letting us make you part of this story. And I know that had to help you to have somebody who loves you by your side through all this. Okay, we're gonna get to the exciting part now, and then we might go back about how
Mhm.
hard it was. You got to be the very first in the state of Texas to benefit from an electrical stimulation device that got you back on your feet.
Yep.
So I was so intrigued to get to meet you in person and take a look at how this works. It straps onto your legs. Tell me about the difference in it and how it's helped you.
Yeah, it's a cuff that goes on both of your thighs, and it has two settings. And one of the settings is gait setting, and when you're walking, it stimulates your quad muscle. And that was the problem I was having. Dr. Meta had to send me to get some tests done, and they just said that my quad was, shot essentially. And I started using this thing, and I would say within a month and a half to 2 months, I started noticing that I didn't have to lift my leg up with my arm anymore. I could raise my leg. And then I actually started walking some small distances with a cane. And the months before that, I wouldn't even have considered doing that. So it really sparked my rehab. It really helped a lot. I was
Just
able to walk.
incredible. I mean, it truly is incredible. And I was just looking up to make sure I got your doctor's name right. So we're talking, it was Texas Spine and Joint, Dr. Ankrometa, and intriguing to meet him as well because he was all in to do everything he could to help make you better. And he's so excited to be able to see you back on your feet. So, did you think when you put those on your legs that it would truly make a difference? Were you skeptical or did you have
Well, you
belief?
want me to be honest? I didn't think it would do anything. I mean, I've been told by surgeons I wouldn't walk at all, and I was still, and I progressed from one different type of walker to another. I went from the old fashioned two wheels and big poles in front. Then I went to a four-wheel walker. Then I went to a three-wheel walker. Then I went to an upright walker, and now I'm using a cane. So, at first they said no way you're going to walk, but this thing helped me considerably. I mean, I put it on, and I could tell the day I put it on that it just motivated me. Just putting it on and the feeling it gives that electrical stimulation to your leg. You can just feel something happening.
Well, and what's so interesting about it that your doctor was explaining to me is the fact that you can just be sitting there and not doing a thing. And that stimulation is like you're working out at a gym. But then every time you take a step, as you were saying with your gait, it helps that leg get up and where it's supposed to
Up and
go.
moving.
So that gave you the extra motivation you needed
Yeah,
to.
it has the two settings. One of the settings is the exercise setting, and that's the one you're talking about, where you can put it on exercise setting and it stimulates for 5 seconds, and then it shuts off for 8 seconds, and it stimulates for 5 seconds. And you literally, when you're done, you feel like you've worked out. So
What's neat about this, too, again, that I was talking to Dr. Meta about, is the fact that how hopeful this can be for somebody who is in a similar situation as yours, and perhaps even somebody who is considered to be paralyzed. The thought is that this is so powerful, perhaps it can get more people back on the feet. And he believes we're on the brink of greatness. Do you feel like you're part of the
yeah,
beginning of something bigger than we've ever seen
yeah.
before?
Like you said, I didn't think it would do anything. Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I told you the story about getting in the car one day, and I got in and I started laughing because I was able to put my leg in the car without lifting it with my arm, and I was like, wow, these things
Yeah.
must be working. And it's not just what they do, but it's also they motivate you. When you strap it on, you just feel like, let's go do something. Let's do it. So
Hmm.
I think it's. I mean, I can't say anything, but it just helped me. I mean, that's all I can say. It helped me a lot. I mean, if you'd have seen me months ago, I mean, I've even driven a few times, and I wouldn't even consider getting in a car before I started using it. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no way. So
So
I
it's
think
just
it would be great.
pure quality of life, and you just can't beat that, can you?
Exactly. When you can't drive,
Ah,
it really affects your life. And I mean, and you got your wife who's got to help you do everything. So I mean, the fact that it could help me, so I can run up to the drugstore, the grocery store now, and I couldn't do those things before. So it's really helped a lot with that.
well, and it almost takes away your dignity. It takes away, I'm sure, the manlyhood. You're used to being the man of your household with your
Yep.
lovely wife, and all of a sudden you're
Can't
relying on
move.
her to do everything for you. That has to be emotionally difficult. When I take a look at you, and you guys have been married for decades, how big of a role did she play in your healing and just
Oh,
being there to help you out and to guide you? It seems like she's incredibly supportive.
I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have my wife for 42 years. I mean, I could, at one point, I was in a full in cast in a wheelchair. I couldn't even get in a bed to sleep or anything. I don't know what I would have done. I mean, at one point, I had a colostomy bag hooked up to me, and she had to take
Mhm.
care of that for me every day. I mean, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I sit back and I think about that. If I was single, what would I have done?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done. So, it was
Well,
incredible.
and I think that animals play such a role too in our lives. I mean, there are medical studies that show they make a big difference. I have a picture here, your dogs. How much joy do they help bring
Uh,
you on a hard day just to have them snuggled or whatever it takes?
those two there are my two. They both really like me. I saved the little one. I rescued him. He was walking the streets, and I found him. And
Oh,
the other one, my wife found. But they both would sit with me, and I mean, just lay with me. And they're used to me with a walker now. They know how to get out of the way when I had the walker going, and
oh,
so
that's
they
good.
were really good too. Yeah, one of the things I was going to tell you too is I'm able to go to like a restaurant now,
Yeah.
and we're retired. We recently retired, and it's just so nice. And not that people are mean or anything, but when you're in a walker, people are looking at you, and you just feel like you're out of place. Now that I'm with a cane, I just feel like I can walk through. Uh oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
Did you lose your signal for a second?
lost. Yeah, I lost the picture and everything.
Oh, we can still see you, so it's
Okay.
okay. You're good. I'm sorry you
There
can't
we
see
go.
it,
There we
but
go. Okay.
oh, good, you got it back. The love of technology, can't live with it, can't
Mhm.
live without it, right? But I understand that because sometimes you just want to blend in, right? You
That's
don't want
awesome.
to. I'm the same way. You don't ever want anything to stand out, and I understand where you come
Hey,
from that, but again, it's so amazing to have those devices so that you were able to get out and about. I mean, what an honor to I would say to have a walker so that at least you could get up and out and
yeah.
about, right? So how is your quality of life different now? Obviously, you said going out is easier. What else helps you?
Well, one of the things when anywhere before, when I went somewhere, I had to look for a chair that had arms on it, so I could push myself up. I couldn't use my
Right.
legs to get up, so I always had to have a chair with arms. Now I don't have to worry about that. I'm strong enough to get up and do it. So it's been very helpful there. I mean, it's been liberating to be quite
Mhm.
honest with you. I mean, for a while there, I thought, my life is over. I mean, I can't get around. I can't do anything. And, I'm
Mm.
being told I'll never walk again. And then Dr. Meta said, well, we got this new device. Let's try it. And so we gave it a try, and here we are.
Wow, and here you are doing so incredibly well, and I truly believe a voice and hope for a whole lot of people who might be going through something similarly. Did he explain to you why you weren't able to walk? Was it a nerve problem? Was it damage? What was
Well,
going on that kept you where you couldn't get up and about?
well, the problem started back from the earlier surgeries. My left knee, I'd lost all the tendons in it, but my right leg was very strong and had a good artificial
Mhm,
knee. But then that's the one that got infected.
mhm,
So suddenly I'm trying to walk with both my legs that aren't good. The tendons have been damaged, and they're just right now they put surgical mesh around my knees to try
mhm.
and bring them together, and it was actually working. Like I would go to therapy for like 3 months, and it would work fantastic, and then it would what they call loosen up, and suddenly I couldn't get my legs straight again. That kept happening over and over, and I actually went back to the orthopedic recently and said, "Hey, can you go in and do anything else? Can you fix it?" And he said, we just can't go in there anymore. He said, your knees are just delicate. He said, they're delicate and they just don't work right anymore.
Yeah.
So, and like when I walk without, like I walk around the house between the cabinets and stuff where I got something to hold on to, and I walk like Frankenstein. It's like
Mhm,
I just can't get the gait quite right. And that's when I
mhm.
put those things on. It seems to really help with the gait itself. So
Yeah, yeah, it gets those legs up in the
get
pace
them
and
moving.
where
Just
they
get
need
them
to be.
moving. Yeah, it makes them move properly. I
Yeah.
mean,
It was
really
fascinating to be
does.
able to watch you walk, and hopefully everybody will get to tune in. For anybody who wants to see how it works, all you have to do is go to fox26houston.com, and you probably just to look up Jack Pennington's name might be the easiest way to find it, or electrical stimulation device, and see how it works. I mean, it was fascinating to watch you be able to walk and how much power it put into your legs. I mean, it's just so beautiful to see. I interview people all the time who are just going through a really tough time, usually medically. What is your advice for people? You've been through one surgery after another, told really terrible news. It was hard to take, as in you weren't ever going to be able to walk again, and you are. But what do you suggest to people? How do they dig deep and get through this without just feeling like they're losing it?
Yeah, well, I can't say that I didn't feel like that for a little while. And I don't know, I just got up one day and I said, I'm not. Once I got out of the wheelchair, I said, I'm not in a wheelchair. I can actually move. I'm still healthy other than this, that I can't get around. So I just said, started looking on the positives. Look, I can get out of a chair now. I
Hmm.
can, I can drive now, and so I just kept looking for the positive and I tried to just forget about the negative. But there for a while, I was fixated on the negative. And I finally just said, look, you can't do that. You got to get going with this. And the
Yeah.
main thing too for a lot of people is you got to get up and move if you can. I mean,
Hmm.
just sitting in the chair watching TV, sorry, it's just not. You got to
Hmm.
get up and move. You know.
And I do like that thought of just trying to picture that cup half full instead of half empty,
Yeah.
and those baby steps, right? Celebrating your little steps along the way until they get to such bigger feats. And didn't you say you also used meditation to help you through the really tough times? How did you do that, and
Yeah,
how did that help?
I would go into my bedroom sometimes, especially at night when I was by myself,
Hmm.
and I would just try to relax, really relax, because you get very anxious because your life has changed and you're going, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I would try to just do a lot of deep breathing and just try to get into my own headspace that look, let's just get through this. You can do it. Because I mean, there were nights at the beginning when I couldn't even sleep because I was so, what am I going to do? And finally, you got to take a deep breath and sit back and relax and
Yeah.
close your eyes and just go, hey, you can do it. And
And
that's
you
what,
did. You did
yeah,
it, and you're doing it.
I'm doing it. I mean, and for the people, I'm telling you, me walking on a cane is pretty much a miracle. I went from no chance to walking. I mean, it's pretty much a miracle. So.
How long did you have to go believing you would never walk again before you started the device? Like, was
Now,
this
I've been on
months
the
or
device since January,
uh-huh.
and
And when was
before,
the first time doctors told you you probably wouldn't walk again?
oh, I don't know, after like the 10th surgery,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably a couple years,
So
probably
what was
a couple years ago.
so you went for years believing you would
Oh,
never walk again then.
yep, yep. And
Oh,
I
that
would try to walk, like in between the countertops at the house. I would try, and I just couldn't. I couldn't get my legs. It's like the legs just they weren't firing. My quads were not firing.
yeah.
And that's what this thing does. It helps fire my quad.
Well, I just hope that people will spread the word that this device is available. Now, it is covered by insurance, but your doctor was telling me you really have to do extensive, I guess, for them to really look at your situation
Right.
extensively to make sure you qualify because I think he said it's like $15,000. Insurance will cover it,
Yeah.
but they just have to make sure that they think it can actually help you, right?
And Dr. Meta did all that for me. I got to give him credit because I mean, he said, "Let's try this stimulation device," and like you said, I said, whatever." I
Yeah.
know that somebody else got something else that's going to help me. And then all of a sudden, one day, he said, "Hey, I got your stimulation device." I said, "Really?" And then I put it on. And I went, "Holy mackerel!" I walked in his office with it on for 5 minutes. And I went, this is going to help. I can tell.
It's just something to see. I am so happy for you, and I'm
Thank
so
you very
happy your
much.
quality of life every day seems to get a little better. What's next? Are you doing anything now that you didn't get to do before, or anything on that bucket list?
Well, we've gone out a little bit. My main goal is to maybe hit a golf ball one of these days, but that's a little ways down the road right now. We are going to take a trip now that I can get a walk around because we just you go somewhere, you have a walker, and you're not sure if you can get in and out of the places and all these different things. So we're going to probably take another trip, little road trip somewhere.
I do
But that
think
was our big thing.
yeah, I think it's important to have things like that in your life to look forward to. Even I like to plan trips way in advance because you have all those months to look forward to it. I think it's good for your mental health. It just overall
Well,
is
you and my
something.
wife would get along very good then. She plans the trip right down to where we stop. So,
Oh, I love that. She's a planner.
yep,
That's awesome. Well, I'm so happy you had her by your side. You had those fur babies helping take good care of you and pamper you. Thank you for sharing your story with
thank you
us.
very
I
much.
feel like you're really going to help a lot of people. Let's
I
spread
hope
the
it
word
is.
that this is available. Most people may have not have heard about it yet.
I had never heard of it. So
Yeah, as a medical reporter, I sure had neither, but thanks to you now I
thank
know.
you.
All right, Jack. You
All
take
right.
care of yourself. Tell your wife Leslie, thank you for sharing you with Lunch for the Soul today.
All righty.
All
Keep in
right.
touch. Thanks.
Take good care of yourself.
Okay. Bye
All
now.
right. Bye-bye. And I just want to remind you, maybe you tuned in a little bit late today. You can go to Fox 26's YouTube page and you can catch either this Lunch for the Soul or all the ones in the past. And then if you have an idea, I always encourage you to reach out to me. You can just go to fox26houston.com to find me there. Just look under About Us and you can find my email or write this down. It's melissa.wilson@fox.com. And I really hope that you will join us next time. Thanks again, everybody. Have a beautiful day. And this was Lunch for the Soul. See you soon, I hope.